A brief excerpt from the subtype program of people born on January 8th of common years. Information is presented using men as an example and is selectively taken from the catalog of human population. A man born on January 8th of common years is a strongly pronounced male because he has qualities that are usually contradistinguished from qualities of females or women. He is warm, sometimes even openly hot, joyful, optimistic, radiant, and glowing. Like the sun, he is, as if on purpose, directs all of his vital forces to giving people warmth with his joy, strength, and positive emanations. He is creative, active, sparkling, not a human but a meteor. He presents himself as a bright, prominent, memorable person. Like a huge radiant star that has incredible energy and an incredible attractive force. He's cheerful, screams to everyone around him, life is good, and then adds, and to live well is even better. He cocks his nose and insists in a perky manner. Like a cheerful toastmaster at a table, he offers people toast-slogans, calls to live deliciously with an appetite, on a grand scale, freely, without any constraining factors and restrictions. He thinks that it is necessary to live with full force. A party should be a real party. A feast should be a real feast. Work should be real work. And fun should be some real fun. And he illustrates this principle by doing all of the above without absolutely any restraint. He's energetic, lively, upbeat, and makes an impression of an honest, sincere, straightforward person with an open soul. He's one of our own, an outgoing fellow. However, he also uses his straightforwardness and the wide open soul as a tool to achieve his goals. He certainly is sincere, though often this is a very attractive cover behind which stands his true self, unknown not only to others, but sometimes also to himself. This man can be described as a charismatic individual. Some of his particularities help him in this. One of them is that he always looks for some words, expressions that will put his opponents or listeners or interlocutors in a state of shock, a strong emotional experience or an ecstatic state, and force them to experience brightest memories connected with pleasures. In general, his behavior, words, and actions might be regarded as complete nonsense. But by using phrases in a certain way, he is able to intuitively select them according to a particular situation or a particular person or people, just as accurately as a professional thief selects keys in order to pick a lock. A man born on January 8th of common years uses words and phrases that others use everywhere all the time, and by themselves these words are comfortable but boring and colorless. However, in his arrangement and performance, they have strength, flavor, color, and as a result, force hearts to literally tremble. Another interesting ability that he has can be called leg length disparity, or LLD. However, it is not at all physical, but rather at the level of emotion and movement. The fact is that this person has a particular predilection for work of his lower limbs. That is why, besides keeping track of his movements, walking, which present him in a more favorable way, he also knows how to always use his lower limbs as if he's gesturing with his legs. With the help of his legs, he always disappears from his interlocutor's visual field. This was defined as LOD and not something else because people with normal legs have smooth amplitude of movement when they walk. And those with LOD, having unequal length of limbs, have sharp amplitude. And this person constantly turns and spins with the help of his feet. And after he makes his opponent accustomed to stationary state of his body, he suddenly begins to make sharp movements with his legs. First, he is directly in front of his listener. Then he turns sideways. Then changes the position of his body as if he's diving, and the listener is forced to look for him with his or her eyes. And so, with the help of his leg movements, he constantly changes position of his body in space. LOD also applies to emotions that he transmits. For example, first he paints a picture of how he once got so frightened that hair on his head stood up. And he does this in an extremely contagious manner. Makes his audience experience the emotion of fear that he's experiencing. But as soon as people freeze in horror, he abruptly moves to an opposite emotion. Just as contagiously and inspiringly, he tells a story about how he once laughed so hard that his stomach almost tore. And so on. From tears to laughter, from aggression to anger and hysterics, from irrepressible joy to animalistic horror. He not only experiences vibrant feelings internally, but has a talent and knows how to very accurately transmit them to an audience using words, facial expressions, gestures, tone, voice, and other means of communication. He can do this so masterfully that his audience will experience cold sweat from horror, then become covered with goosebumps from excitement, and then immerse into joyful euphoria. In combination, all these techniques, selection of phrases, changes of body and space, evocation of sharp changes in emotions, as if turned the audience into a piece of steel that is tempered by temperature amplitudes from 0 to 1000 degrees Celsius. As a result, a man born on January 8th of common years succeeds in leaving an unforgettable impression of himself. If you enjoyed a brief overview of this person and would like to get a full description of this or any other person, you can do so at www.humanpopulationacademy.org.